Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Welcome to my channel. My name is Tina. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I have project share for Globleland. I will have a link to everything I'm sharing with you guys in the description box below if you're interested. For my first card, I used this sunflower set. I used the 2 sunflowers and the 2 leaves. And for my sentiment, I used the Merry Happy. And this is the card that I made. My card base is craft color. I put down flat this yellowish peach cardstock, and I cut the white cardstock 1/4 inch smaller, and I just ran it through my embossing folder. I don't know if the camera's catching the pattern. And then I brought this teal color cardstock. I just cut a strip and I lay it down this way. I watercolored all my sunflowers and the leaves. I put 1 flat down and 2 of them I elevated, and I tucked all the leaves all around it. Here is that Merry Happy sentiment, elevated that as well. And I just went around it with gold ink so it's all cohesive. And I put blue and yellow enamel dots. For my next card, I used this stamp set. I used the rounded shape vase, this flower bunch, and for my sentiment, I used the Have a Blooming Good Day. And this is the card that I made. My card base is white. I put down this pattern paper, and I took a pink strip and I just put it on this corner here. I brought this gold glitter paper and I just cut 2 very thin strips, put it on each side, and I die cutted 2 circles, 2 stitch circles. The bigger one, I just thought it matched the teal color, so I did it in teal, and the top one, so it doesn't fight with the focal point, I just did white. I watercolored my vase and the flowers, and I just elevated them with foam tape. I die cutted this little bow with the same glitter cardstock as these strips, and I put it here. And here is that sentiment. I just stamped it with blue ink, and I backed it up with the same glitter cardstock as the bow and the strips. And I just put a couple of gold gem. For my next card, I used this flower stamp set. I only used the roses, the 2 leaves, and for my sentiment, I used the world is better because of you. So for this card, I did some here embossing. My card base is white. I took this paper, this cardstock, and it's kind of ombre with some reds and yellows. And with the roses stamp set and the leaves, I just stamped randomly to make my own background with Versamark ink. And I did clear embossing powder, so I don't know if the camera's catching it. I took this cardstock, a mirror cardstock, and I just ran it through I have one of those thin embossing folders, and I just placed it down here on the corner. I did some watercoloring for this background, this rectangle that's underneath the roses. And my roses and the leaves, I stamped them with black Versamark ink on jelly printed paper. And I did clear embossing powder. I don't know, again, if the camera's catching it. I fussy cut around them. I elevated the big one. And for the small ones, I just elevated this corner here and this corner, and the rest, to tuck them in, I just did them flat. The leaves, again, I did the same thing. And here is that sentiment, the world is better because of you. I stamped that in black, and I backed it up with the gold mirror cardstock. For my next card, I used this stamp set, and I love this stamp set. I used this flower bunch. I used these 2 dragonfly, and for my sentiment, I used thank you for your kindness. And this is the card that I made. It turned out so adorable. So my card base is white. First, I put down a purple cardstock, then 1/4 of an inch smaller, I put down this pattern paper. I did back up this rectangle that has double stitching with the same purple cardstock as my bottom layer. And then I stamped the flower and I just colored it kind of yellow, purple, pink to match the background. I did some distress oxide on the top just to mimic a sky. And here is those 2 dragonflies. I elevated them with foam tape. I put one going this way, one coming down. And I stamped "Thank you for your kindness" in purple ink. For my next card, I used this fairy stamp set. I used this fairy that's sitting on a mushroom. I used this mushroom. This little mushroom, I did it twice, these 2 butterflies, and for my sentiment, I used Make a Wish. And I wanted to keep this pretty simple. So my card base is white. The cardstock I chose for the background had these lines and sparkly stars, so I didn't want to do too much to it. I did bring from my stash these flowers that I die cut it in jelly printed paper, and I just tucked them behind this grass from my stash. The grass, I elevated it so I can tuck the mushrooms. So I put one small one here, and the little bigger one, I just put it here. I elevated the fairy. So her wings I did with vellum and gold embossing powder. And I just put some Winkastella on her dress. Here is the 2 butterflies, and the sentiment I stamped in blue, backed it up with gold cardstock. For my next card, I use this adorable stamp set. There is so many adorable puppies here, but I use this cluster of 3. And this is the card that I made. So my card base is craft color. I matted it with dark brown cardstock, and then I took a beige cardstock and I ran it through my embossing folder. This one has like a brick embossing. And I brought this grass from my stash, put it down flat. I die cutted 3 balloons from my stash. I did the 2 with distress oxide, and this one I did with leftover jelly printed paper that I had left. I put 3 twine and I tucked them behind the 3 puppies that I elevated with foam tape, and I die cutted the word hooray. I did one with off-white, one with brown, offset them a little bit so it has like a shadow effect. And the last card for today, I used this fairy tale princess stamp set. I used the castle, I used the princess, and this knight. For my sentiment, I took the Your from the Your Ace, just the Your, and stamped my hero. And this is the card that I made. So my card base is white. I took a blue cardstock and I did some stenciling with my cloud stencil. And then down here, I put the grass, I put mountains, and I colored and fussy cut the castle, tuck it behind the grass. Here is the princess and the knight. I just elevated them with foam tape. I put a little moon here because it was dark, the background, so it's more like a nighttime. And here is the sentiment, you're my hero. I just cut a fishtail and I backed it up with the same brown as the mountain. So that was it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, have an awesome day, you guys. Bye.